Hey yo, I am the star in any room that I stand in. I am the standout, you just my stand-in. These bitches copy my homework, that's what they hand in. That's why I'm private like the airports I land in. Life is a beach house, don't let the sand in. I ball in any arena, go let the fans in.
What's up, y'all? I hope all is well. So in this video, I'm gonna give some random takes about some things I've observed the last few weeks. I just wanted to get some content out there for you guys this week. So I did just want to do just a quick video, just giving random points about things that I've noticed. So let's get into it. So first, I want to talk about the Young Thug, Mariah The Science's Glorilla situation. So even before that had gone super viral, I already had a feeling that that was gonna be what it was gonna be. I wasn't sure how people were gonna react to it, but I knew that they were gonna have something to say about Glorilla's diss track, despite the fact that he said something to her first. We're not even gonna get into the fact that Young Thug is looking like the way he's looking, like talking about anybody's looks. Like, you need to be the most humble, nicest specimen walking the face of the earth. But we know these males can never do that because they're highly entitled. That's why I'm vehemently against women dating men that are less attractive than them. Well, I'm not going to say less attractive, but just let's just say so much more less attractive than them, but also not with good personalities. Now, I will say I've heard Mariah The Science say that they have good conversations or whatever, and I actually listen to their jail calls. It does seem like they have a good vibe or whatever. So I could kind of get that. Y'all be saying that sometimes ugly guys be having good personalities. Okay, I'll give you that. If human connections are not only about looks, but the thing about it is that y'all allow men to be things that they would never allow y'all to be. And one of those being highly unattractive, but still having access to the top caliber of people. You know what I mean? So men can exchange, status and money for not being that attractive. Women do that with being attractive. So you can kind of be, from not the best background, but if you're able to clean yourself up and play the part, you can go far. So I'm not saying, yeah, you got to choose a man based off looks, because that can go wrong really bad as well. So don't get me wrong, but at the same time, I'm just saying, keep that in mind. Y'all do let men be things that they would never let you be. So the dynamic is always in balance. So that's why you have people who running around looking like Young Thug, that's literally looking like he came off the bottom of somebody's shoe, like Glorilla said. Shout out to sis. But he looked all hot and indignant, talking about people's looks. Feel me? Like, Glorilla is a beautiful girl. Like, leave her alone. People been talking about her looks. But at the same time, this also shows something too, because they're always running around saying, oh, light-skinned women don't have to be attractive, but y'all still hype them up, and they still be thinking they're cute even when they're not attractive. And honestly, that's really not true about light-skinned black women. It's really not. Since Glorilla came out, y'all have talked about her looks. You talked about her teeth. Y'all was talking about her nose, talking about the way she talked, talking about her name. I'm not crazy about her name either, but I'm not gonna get into that. But like for real, like, y'all been talking about this girl, and her, being super light skinned didn't change that either. So it's like, y'all, what y'all say don't even add up based on, and y'all the ones that say it. You know what I mean? Like, that's not necessarily true. Like, and I think Glorilla is cute. Even, before she had money, she had her Hollywood glow up. I still think she was cute, but I just find that funny that they always say that. But Glorilla is a living example that that's really not true. That's not true. And even there's situations of real life I can think of that I've seen girls that, they had a similar phenotype to Glorilla, and, maybe it was maybe the way they act, maybe their weight, maybe just different things about them that made them, quote unquote, undesirable. But people, just because they were light skinned, people didn't, I feel like, quote unquote, give them passes, as y'all say. So I feel like y'all use that as kind of like a fear tactic, or like as an excuse to just come for light skinned women and to like hold that over our head. And I feel like that's not fair. And it's like, Glorilla is a real life example that that's not true. And it's like when Glorilla had first came out, she was looking, like her regular self. Y'all was roasting her then. Then after she got a nose job, um, go check out my video about that. After she got a nose job, then y'all was still dragging her. So it's like, you're damned if you do, damned if you don't. Then this man come out talking about her. Well, it's exposed that he was talking about her. She defend herself like a rapper should on wax, and now y'all mad about what she said. You know what I mean? When Young Thug wouldn't piss on y'all if y'all were on fire, feel me? And honestly, I don't even think Young Thug is a colorist. Like, I saw women saying that, like, oh, Young Thug is anti-black, Young Thug is a colorist. I actually don't think that. I know Young Thug from when he first came out, when he was running around in dresses and shit. I ain't even gonna go there, but if you know, you know. Feel me? When he was early back in the ATL, feel me? And he had a long time girlfriend that was like on the browner to dark skin side. Super pretty, 2012 Instagram baddie aesthetic. I forgot her name. I'll try to put some pictures on the screen if I remember. But yeah, that's who I knew Young Thug to be with for a very long time. So me personally, I've never heard him say anything disparaging about dark skin women specifically. So, he just seems like he's the typical hater ass black dude that sits around, just, chatting, talking crap about women's looks and everything like that. Like, I don't think he's necessarily colorist though. But then again, I'm not gonna vouch for a man. I don't know. But yeah, so I saw that narrative going around too. But that also shows it's like, so simply when they be dating a light skinned woman and they're sitting around talking about honestly another light skinned woman's looks, they still saying that he's colorist and he's anti-black. And it's like, why are you so concerned? That's another thing I wanted to talk about too. Why y'all constantly inserting yourself into light skin business? What's that about? That shit is weird too. Not only are y'all constantly inserting yourself into light skin business and light skin situations and drama, but y'all insert yourselves into situations that involve so-called allegedly colorist black men. And don't get me wrong, y'all know I do think that a good portion of black men are color struck AF, and I think that being colorist and color struck are two different things. So y'all might hear me use those terms differently. So I don't really think they're necessarily the same thing. I think more black men are color struck, but I think colorist is more of is different. It's more of an action term, you know what I mean? Maybe that's just me. Maybe I'm just being too anal about that. But yeah, I think a lot of black men are color struck. But yeah, I haven't known Young Thug specifically to be that. But anyway, yeah, I've noticed that. So it's like now, so basically if you just dating a light skinned girl, you colorist. And why are you even talking about Young Thug then and defending him against Glorilla, saying some ghetto insults at him? Because that's what they really were, typical stuff that people say to each other in the hood all the time. So I don't know why y'all get on these bird apps and then start acting shocked and surprised because people say stuff that people say all the time. I'm not saying it's right or good, but it's like, she's a rapper, she put it on wax. It is what it is. Like, Young Thug is a grown-ass man. Like, he could eat that. Like, why are you so concerned about him? Like, that's what I find annoying too. Y'all sit around dragging other black women all fucking day. Y'all was dragging Glorilla about being a typical girl from, I think she's from Missouri or something. Y'all dragged her for that. She a regular person, but you sitting up here, offended over what she said about Young Thug. He's a grown man and he came at her looks first. You know what I mean? And I never heard Glorilla come at another black woman like that. See, I'm the type of person, like, I'll call out, ignorant shit that other, like, black women rappers or things that they've said, because y'all know I like the rap girlies. But I'm not going to throw them away or stop supporting them. I'll hold them accountable and call out their bullshit and say they shouldn't have said that fucked up shit and then just move on. But y'all be letting these black males have 1,099.58 chances. And we're going to get to that later in the video, later in my rant. But yeah, y'all be giving them 1,099 chances, defending them, even though y'all say that they're colorist. But if y'all say a light skinned woman is colorist, then she's thrown away and y'all don't defend her, and she's like excommunicated from black woman culture and society. Like,
I would also appreciate if you like the video and subscribe to the channel if you are not already and the content resonates with you. Welcome, as well as making sure you hit the bell for notifications so you'll be informed every time I upload a new video or go live. I'd also encourage you to check out my Patreon, where you can access old and exclusive content, as well as having early access to new uploads. That will be linked in the description box below.
Why they always inserting themselves into situations involving light-skinned women, like drama, just the identity thing, just in general, they'll pull that out the hat out of nowhere. You could be arguing about something completely different. I see this on Twitter. We see this going on with the rap girls beef situation now, and they keep bringing up the race and ethnicity thing. It's like y'all use that as a strongman argument to try to get a reaction and a response from other black women to try to get them on y'all side, and it's very manipulative and insidious, and I just want to keep clocking that tea because that's exactly what it is. And but yeah, and it's used in different ways, and it's like, bro, why is you even inserting yourself into that? Like, worry about yourself, mind your business. Like, if the light-skinned woman say something, it makes a general collective statement and you feel some type of way, okay, that's one thing, but that's not what's happening. I get it, like, yeah, they're celebrities, and it's like, if you cover celebrity tea or whatever, you're gonna talk about whatever's going on, but I just always find that funny too. Like, why is you even concerned about, what Glorilla, what Young Thug is sitting around talking about with Mariah The Science is? So that's another thing. But yeah, and I also feel like it's unfortunate that um, you know, men like Young Thug, they really do cheapen your value and your image. They just really do. And when you say things like that, other black women get offended and they think you being mean and crass, but it is what it is. Like, Mariah the Scientist is a beautiful woman. She's very smart, poised. I like how she conducts herself. She went to college and everything. She's actually a scientist. I found out, which is why that's her name, because I didn't know that much about her before. But yeah, like, think about if she was known for that instead of shenanigans associated with Young Thug and, stepmama antics. Like, so I try not to sound judgmental when it comes to that stuff, but that's just kind of annoying to me too. It's like, this is what I'm talking about also. Like, now all of them are ingrained and yoked in this drama involving weirdo Young Thug, who's giving Vibes Cartel vibes anyway. So y'all did all of that defending him just for him to white it out at the end of the day. Like, that's just, that whole situation was just kind of funny to me. But so I did want to talk about that. But oh yeah, going back to the light skinned women can be unattractive and still get compliments thing that they always say. I always find that fixation odd as well, because number one, light skinned black women are black women, so it's like you can't be hypersensitive about black men talking about black women's looks in general, but you always trying to draw light skinned women's looks into question. And honestly, I don't really give a fuck about the whole looks conversation, because to me, the minute you start bringing that up, you are exposing yourself. Like, because if we got our big ages over 25 years old and you still worried about that, all you telling me is that you ain't start getting attention from dudes well after your 20s. Because, girl, we went over this high school, middle school. Like, girl, you need to keep up. Like, we going to bigger and better things at this point. Seriously. So that's my perspective on that. So, I don't even understand why this is a thing, but I don't really feel like that's really a thing for light-skinned black women. I think that the light-skinned black women that the black community or black males, tend to uplift as being very attractive, or the mixed women that they do, I feel like those women actually are very beautiful and really attractive. Like, why are we acting like they don't be really attractive? Like, they actually do be attractive. And I'm gonna be honest with you, I feel like that's another reason why they be having an issue too. And I feel like that's why when it comes to someone like Glorilla, who looks more like, has like an around the way type of girl look, it's easy for them to come at her and be like, oh, well, you wasn't, you look XYZ way anyway. So I feel like that's what it is. It's easy to go there. But I always found that funny. Like, I disagree with that. I don't feel like light-skinned black women can show up looking, like who did it and ran, and just because you light skinned with light eyes, you're gonna get, like, people gonna think you're super attractive. Like, that's not true. Now, you might get compliments about your eyes or your hair, but it's like any child who looks different is gonna get compliments. Like, you need to grow up. That's what I'm saying. These people are childish as hell. Like, why are you still worried about who's giving compliments to who? Like, like, who cares? So yeah, so I feel like that's part of what it is. It's like they kind of, it's also people don't like the attention that people are getting for standing out. That's what I really think that it is. So when they're like, oh, well, they're not attractive, but they're getting compliments, it's like they might not really be getting compliments for quote unquote being attractive. They're getting compliments for standing out. But I feel like that's what it be also, and even with Glorilla, because if you grew up in a typical black neighborhood, there's always girls that look like Glorilla, and they cute girls. So I could definitely see people having an issue though with the attention somebody looks for standing out. I think that that's what it is, and I think that this plays a huge part in things. And maybe people just don't have the language, or they haven't thought about it in that way, but I think that that's what it is a lot of the time. And shout out to Alon Jones, but I remember her saying this, is like a lot of this stems from like black people just having a self-esteem issue. So it's like small stuff that you should be passed by certain ages, people still like stay stuck on. And then the online environment doesn't help. The talking about that, alpha and sigma, and good what's a good woman and not a good woman, that none of that is helping the climate either, and how polarizing everything is. So yeah, I think that that's where things really come from. Not saying that this wasn't always a thing though, because it absolutely was. Like, I definitely remember hearing my family talk about having that issue when they were younger as well. But yeah, they definitely feel some type of way, OD about Glorilla. I guess because of her lyrics or whatever, and they said that they didn't like what she was saying about Young Thug and stuff. I'm getting tired, so I'm probably rambling. But yeah, I just found that hilarious. Like, why are you so concerned about protecting Young Thug from words from another rapper? Like, come on now. And mind you, these girls drag each other all day, calls each other B's and H's, talk mad crap about other women. Do you see other black women getting super offended by that? No. But Glorilla claps back at a dude who was talking crap about her looks. Mind you, the main people out here talking negatively about Glorilla's looks is other black women. But I never heard Glorilla go in on other black women about their looks or skin color or anything. But I've constantly heard other black women go in on Glorilla. So it is telling. So she came and, gave all her energy to a black male, rightfully so. And as black women run into run into his defense. And then, mind you, he turns around and pulls a Vibes Cartel. So I just find that to be a huge gag. So that's a good way to segue into our. Oh, and before I go into the next topic, another thing was you had what's that girl's name? Jessie Woo's bird ass sitting around talking about, that Mariah the Scientist is anti-black, just like Young Thug. Now, I don't care if she want to call Young Thug anti-black, who cares? But what makes Mariah the Scientist anti-black? For sitting around and laughing with her boyfriend? Now, do I think Mariah the Scientist be looking goofy behind Young Thug? Yeah, but if she like it, I love it, whatever. Like, that has nothing to do with me. That was a private call between the two of them. It is what it is. That was leaked. But at the same time, you're a celebrity. Like, you should know, if you're talking about other celebrities, like, eventually I was going to come out. But it is what it is. Like, who knows how long they have been on the phone. People start, people, they get real loose-lipped when they get on the phone. But anyway, but yeah, I saw her talking about Mariah the Science as being anti-black, and she's another one that's staying light-skinned women's business, but be fixated on these like desirability politics things, and is so pressed about getting married and having a black husband and everything. And that's why I've always been saying this whole time, there's a huge correlation between the two, and I feel like a lot of the the 2010s pick-me's, they just shifted their mindset and rhetoric and kind of racialized it, and that's where a lot of this colorism stuff came from. Like, I've been on YouTube for a long time, so it's not even like a theory. Like, I literally seen it with my own eyes. And I'm telling you, there's definitely a correlation between the black male worshiper stuff and being obsessed with that, and being hyper fixated on the whole like light skin, correlated with attractive thing, and just because you this skin tone don't make you cute. That rhetoric, the whole thinking privilege is connected to a skin tone, all of that comes from black male worship. That's why I'm like very like intolerant and impatient with that, because y'all know that's just not my vibe at all. But yeah, and then look at this situation between Mariah the Scientist and Glorilla, and I think that they said that either they did like some type of performance together, something. But yeah, look, all of this drama always is stemmed behind black males, who, and a lot of them who are not even bare minimum attractive, mind you. Like, okay, there's plenty of dudes like Young Thug that have street money. Like, he's not nothing special. Okay, he got a little bit of clout and be saying slat on a track here and there. Okay, and Like, Young Thug ain't nothing special. Like, come on now. All of this drama behind him. But yeah, like, y'all, these girls really in a frenzy over Young Thug. Like, are y'all serious? Like, he looked like something in my cat's litter box. Like, get out of here. But anyways, but yeah, and then freaking Jessie Woo, like, yeah, girl, like, she's just irritating to me. I think I'm gonna review the video in my members. So if you'd like to see that, like, comment below and definitely tune in if I do end up making the video. But yeah, so let me move on to the next topic now. So the next thing I want to rant about is the Chris Brown discourse. So I've made other videos about Chris Brown in my POV of him in the past, but I think they might be on my members. So maybe I'll have some of them linked in the description. But yeah, generally I'm just not a fan of him as a person. Of course, I like his music. Yeah, all of that. I grew up with Chris Brown. We're similar ages. I've literally grown up watching his career. Okay, my cousins used to be obsessed with him. Like, I think some of the first CDs I ever owned were actually Chris Brown. So me and Chris Brown go way back. So this is not me speaking from just, the stuff that happened in the last 4 years like y'all do. I've been keeping up with Chris Brown for a very, very long time. So for the few of us who are not under the spell of the Chris beat him down Brown cult, we have to understand that we are in a minority. Now, there is a silent dominant group that doesn't speak or stays indifferent towards him, which I understand as well. But there is a large flock of birds that insists on squawking about him. Every, I would say, 6 to 12 months or so, we get a new story of somebody making a colorism claim against him, and then you have another situation of people taking it upon themselves to somehow make it our business that they spent thousands of dollars to take a picture with a drug addict. I mean, it's just like the goof antics behind these males just never ceases to amaze me. And this is why I be saying, y'all be looking goofy as hell behind them. Y'all be looking goofy as hell mentioning them. Y'all be looking goofy as hell sitting around talking about them all the time, having the same type of conversations over and over and over again. Like, I feel like we've went through this every, like I said, 12 months for the past 5 years. Like, why are we still talking about this? Y'all clearly are going to support this man, which honestly, I don't really care. Like I said, I grew up with his music. I love Chris Brown's music as an artist and his body of work. And honestly, even his dancing and performances and things like that, I really do enjoy Chris Brown as an artist, obviously. But clearly as a person, he's just not a good person, and it just is what it is. And it has nothing to do with Rihanna and stuff that happened 20 years ago. There's a laundry list, plenty of receipts, the whole the whole roll of receipts can just that's just the last 5 years of his antics. So it's like, why are we acting like wasn't he just extradited to England for assaulting a grown man? Like, this is not a good person. And then they'll find these anecdotal examples. Oh, he did this one or two nice things for another celebrity that also isn't his benefit. Like, okay, we don't give a flying F. Like, what do you want us to do with that? So that's just what I find hilarious about the discourse. Like, they go out of their way to talk about him, or bring him up and defend why they love him so much. It's like, who cares? We do not care. But again, like I said, if you want to be a supporter of him or not, I really don't care. It's just hilarious when, like I said, y'all just spent 2-3 weeks dragging Mariah The Science and Glorilla for some drama behind Young Thug being a chatty patty, and then every 4 to 6 weeks y'all find another reason to drag mixed and light-skinned women. That's what I find annoying. It's like, y'all find the smallest reasons to cancel these new and upcoming mixed and light-skinned artists or random chicks on the internet. But Chris Brown gets thousands of chances, and mad people be running to his defense. And I know for a fact that the groups of people who complain about colorism or push propaganda against light-skinned women, I know for a fact some people in that group are supporters of Chris Brown and defenders of him. I know this for a fact. because you can't, I refuse to believe, like I said, the black male worshipers, that's an intersectional group. So I refuse to believe that these are isolated things. So that's just what I find hilarious. It's like, so I really don't understand what other light skinned women don't see though. So you don't see that for the smallest things, the most minuscule things on social media, they will antagonize regular old people. Granted, I get he's a celebrity. You know, celebrities have a lot of advantages, and people will excuse a lot of things that they do. I understand that their situation is not, it's not like the average person, but we know that society and the insular black community operates a certain way. We just know this. So yeah, that's why I always just like find it really annoying to hear all of the fake outrage about certain things that light skinned women do or say, because it's like, no, y'all definitely are not, y'all are not that outraged about any of this stuff. Because if this was really just about random problematic light skinned people, y'all would keep the same energy with all demographics and genders, and y'all simply do not. Y'all have a different standard for people depending on when they came out, who you like, who they sleep with, how they look, where they're from, what language they speak. It's just like too many, like, yeah, too many picking and choosing of when we're gonna imply these same standards. So that's what I find funny too. So I found it genuinely hilarious that literally weeks after you had people be calling Glorilla a colorist for defending herself, then you had people defending they right to support Chris Brown, who honestly, y'all, people be saying that he's a colorist. I don't really care about that much, because that's the tiny, eensy weensy, smallest amount of character flaws about him. My more so issue with him is his violence and his outbursts, and also just him being just mad disrespectful. Just generally, he just does not seem like a nice person. He don't seem pleasant. You know what I mean? He just seems annoying and reckless, and just like a hothead. Like, he reminds me of people you would know. You know what I mean? That are just a certain type of dude, and that's just not. I just don't like that about his personality. So that's what it gives to me. So, but it says a lot to me that certain types of women always feel the need to either go out their way to defend him, or always take to the internet and say, oh, this and this happened. And it's like, yeah, baby girl, this and this been happening for 10, 15 years. And y'all still be putting yourselves in these situations. And then you come to the internet. What you want us to do about that? Like, you know what I mean? And that's another thing I find annoying too. Why y'all keep weaponizing the internet to enact your personal complaints against certain celebrities or establishments or people? Like, yeah, if you were mistreated somewhere, you have a right to publicize it and talk about it. But it's starting to become very obvious what it is. And it's clearly an attention grab for a lot of these people. And that's why I call this Colorism Inc. And I feel like these narratives come from people who have certain personalities, because they usually all do it to captivate an audience, get attention, and invoke emotionality to get certain demographics on their side in the argument, or to say, oh, this could happen. If this happened to me, it happened to anyone. So basically trying to make their problem everybody else's problem, when it's like, you put yourself in that goofy ass situation. I'm not gonna sit up here and be mad at Chris Brown because he didn't want yourself up in there when he been saying that for years. Like, and then it's like, if again, going back to the y'all allowing men to be things and to treat y'all ways that they wouldn't allow you to treat them. Sorry, I'm losing my train of thought. Like I said, I'm getting sleepy. Oh yeah, y'all have created a situation and are allowing a dynamic to where he can pull all these tricks, and y'all will still go to his concerts and still support him, paying thousands of dollars to sit up there looking dumb as fuck, taking pictures with him. Y'all will play into these patriarchal systems, and then when it doesn't work out for you, then you want to cry boo boo tears and get mad and come try to invoke other women. And you know what I mean? Like, it's only an issue when you don't feel like you benefited anymore, or you feel like another woman is able to benefit more, and then you want to try to make it a social issue, when it's like, no, I understand you don't like that. Okay, you feel like mainly light-skinned women are promoted in the media, but let's stop acting like that is a issue that's affecting the everyday lay citizen. Like, our country is literally descending into fascism, and y'all still sitting up here talking about colorism in early 2000s shows and worried about what the fuck Mariah the Scientist is doing. Like, are you kidding me right now? Like, the shit is goofy as hell, like I said. Like, and these people be grown as fuck. Okay, I get this from high school students, but these people be over 35 running around talking about, oh, Cardi B is getting privileged. Why is you even listening? Why is you paying attention to what Cardi B is doing when we're literally living through a government shutdown? And you're worried about what systems Cardi B is benefiting from. And look at Cardi B. Like, I like Cardi B, but let's be real, Cardi B is a minstrel show. And this is like, even the type of light-skinned people y'all complain about and say, oh, they getting privilege or they getting passes. Would you want to be Cardi B? Would you really want to be in Cardi B's position? Like, let's be real. Would you really want your life to be playing out the way Cardi B's life is playing out? Would you really want the reputation and the type of imagery that gets associated with Cardi B? Like, seriously, come on now. So it's like, even what are we even talking about here? So I'm sorry, but I'm just so over these conversations. As like, I'm not even trying to sound empathetic. It's just like, to me, it's just coming off as like, it's sounding mad childish and silly at this point. Especially when y'all sitting around defending niggas like Chris Brown. Like, get out of here. I could even see if y'all defended light-skinned men that were actually positive members of society and halfway respectful. But, yeah, like, but it's like, why Chris Brown of all people? Like, look at the type of men y'all defend. Like, and that's of all across the board of skin tones. I've been talking about this. They do not be defending black men that are good. And then y'all always try to talk about, oh, he's so talented, blah, blah, blah. Okay, and like, who cares? Like, same thing with Young Thug. Who cares? Okay, he's another rapper. Glorilla is a rapper. She responded to him. Like, yeah, maybe she said ignorant stuff, but that's rap music. Rap music is ignorant. Get over it. You don't like it, don't listen to it. Like, damn. You don't like Chris Brown's, people's being fat phobic and colorist. Don't go to his shows. Don't support his stuff. Like, you know what I mean? Like, and in this economy, the fact that you even paying money or even standing around like a fool trying to wait to go to a Chris Brown event is dumb as hell anyway. You should be somewhere chasing a bag, not chasing after crackhead niggas like Chris Brown. Like, feel me? Like, this, it's getting me tight. Let me move on to the next topic, because even talking about this is, working my nerves. And then another thing I wanted to say before I wrap this video up was about the woman that was in her 50s that was talking about how she was getting hated on at her job because a man was talking to her, and I guess the other co-workers was like being haters or whatever. But yeah, I just wanted to respond to how people were reacting to that and how they were like so hung up on the fact that she was calling it pretty privilege and saying that she that she's not that attractive and everything. Basically going back to what I was saying about Glorilla, and what I basically think that means that basically they look like regular people. They don't look like AI Instagram baddies. So that's why to people online, they'll say that and say, oh, well, you're not qualified to talk about that. Which, I mean, by that logic, actually, most of y'all then wouldn't be qualified to talk about it. Which, I mean, that argument kind of leans closer to what I think. But anyway, not because I think that people are not attractive, but because, I mean, if it's something attainable to the masses, then it's not something special. But I'm gonna just leave it there. But yeah, so what I really think that it is, I kind of wish like she had just said the thing. And the thing is, she was getting hated on because she's mixed and light skinned. That's what it is. Like, not saying she's not a beautiful woman or she's not attractive. I'm not saying that. But I'm basically saying how I interpreted the story and the situation, and just based off of looking at her and the experiences that she talked about, that's what it sounded to me. Now, whatever she said, because of the context of the conversation, regardless of how she worded it or what she said, she was going to get backlash and people were going to get triggered. So that's not me like trying to like scold her or anything or say how she should express herself. But why I said that, why I say to me, is that I feel like that's more so a light skin hate thing that she was receiving, and that she was different because of how she looks, basically. So I would notice that often as a kid, and just like being outside and everything. So when that woman was saying, oh, I get hated on and people, make comments about me, I knew what she was saying is true. But I'm pointing out the age thing because people kept weaponizing that against her, saying, oh, well, she's old, and she's saying that, oh, she thinks she cute just because she light skin, whatever. But what I really think that she was trying to say, maybe she either wasn't thinking about it, or didn't have the language, or was just saying it offhanded. I think really what she was saying was, yeah, like when you're mixed or you're light skinned and you look like her, like, yeah, you get a lot of attention, and people might automatically think it's gonna always be positive attention. But on the flip side is that it's people that make assumptions about you, or it might irritate people's demons because you get certain attention. You know what I mean? Like my little cousin I was talking about, there might be haters that might feel like, oh, he just getting attention, because he got green eyes. And it's like, okay, maybe he is getting attention because he got green eyes, but it's something original. Like, regardless, you still exposing yourself to as being a hater, because why you acting like that's not something original and it's like pretty? You know what I mean? Like I always say, I think blue eyes are really pretty. Like, I'm not a fucking hater. I'm not insecure. I can admit that blue eyes are pretty even though I have brown eyes. You know what I mean? Like, so it's just people really exposing themselves. But yeah, I kind of feel like she had said the thing and I wish she had like said the problematic thing and been like, yeah, it's a hating on mixed and light skinned people thing. Because like I said, I've seen it throughout my family my whole life. And I'm not saying, oh, it's not connected to being attractive, but I'm gonna be honest with you, when you phrase it in that way, it makes it beauty is in the eyes of the beholder. So unfortunately, it leaves room to try to trivialize your experience, because beauty is in the eyes of the beholder. As where if you say, hey, listen, I'm a mixed person, I look like this, and my whole life, I couldn't control how I looked, obviously, and I was the only person who looked like me, and I would get this attention that would be positive and then translate into negative attention because of XYZ feelings other people project onto me. You know what I mean? That's a mixed person experience. So yeah, of course we know that they're going to be monoracial people who don't look mixed who are going to try to insert themselves into the discussion, but they can't realistically gaslight you on that experience, because that's not their experience and they don't know. But with something like attractiveness, people are always going to try to trivialize that and hold you to their own like ruler, basically. So that's the only difficult thing. And y'all could be saying, oh, well, you sound colorist right now by saying, oh, you just assuming that people are hating on her for being light skinned and having green eyes. But I mean, like, it's uncomfortable, but it's a real thing. Like, I'm not saying I've seen it so many times that it's the majority of people that act like that or do that. I'm not saying that at all. But I'm essentially saying, like, because of the attention I've seen my cousins and family members who have a phenotype that look like her get, it doesn't surprise me that throughout her life she's gotten positive attention and then it translates into negative attention. It doesn't surprise me at all. That's essentially what I'm saying. But I think that it's a very common thing for people who are mixed and light skinned, because we tend to stand out. That's basically what I'm saying. And people don't like that because it's an uncomfortable truth, but it's not colorist or talking negatively about anybody else to say that. Like, I don't have sandy blonde hair. So it's not going to trigger me to talk about my cousin, looking very unique and getting a lot of attention for looking unique. It doesn't bother me. You know what I mean? And so I always think that that's funny too, because like I said, like, you'll have people who are monoracial who will try to speak on these situations, but it's like, bro, you have countries where you have entire families that are mixed. You think that there's not texturism or colorism amongst mixed families? You know what I mean? Like, so you can have a family full of light-skinned people and people still be sitting up having color issues and skin, and hair texture issues because that's an internal issue that people need to work out. You know what I mean? It's not specific to a skin tone or hair texture. And that just because you have that specific skin tone and hair texture doesn't mean that you're free from having those experiences and feelings either, because I'm sure there are families, I personally know families where they have is all mixed and light skinned people, and they still have those issues where certain kids get praised more than the other kids, feel some type of way and bully the other kid that's the quote unquote favorite. You know what I mean? Like, luckily I never had none of that mess in my family, and we didn't have no jealous streaks and color strike people and stuff like that. But yeah, so I know that can be a thing, and it is a thing for older Gen X, boomer women. It definitely is definitely a thing. I know that for a fact. I saw my grandmother's experience growing up. And I'm only mentioning my grandmother because she kind of has a similar look to Evelyn Lozada. So, you could see in the Midwest, in the mid 90s, there weren't many people that looked like her running around. So she got a lot of attention, of course, from men a lot. And then that's a whole thing also. I remember being a little girl and having a lot of anxiety going out because I felt like my family would get my aunts and stuff like that, and my cousins, they would get catcalled a lot, and I didn't like that. And even my grandmother, they would get catcalled a lot, and I didn't like none of that. So just because you're getting attention, that doesn't always mean that it's positive. But they always spin it to a, oh, you think you cute because you light skin type of thing. And I think she just really wanted to get that off her chest. And who knows what had been going on at her job or whatever. But it always gets spun into like a salacious thing or a thing about vanity, or they trying to make the light skinned girl look like delusional and full of herself. But yeah, I kind of wish Tamika had said the hard thing and been like, yeah, when you're light skinned, you get a lot of attention, and all attention is not good attention. It's really that simple. But again, shout out to Divested Zealot. I've said this years ago. I heard her say attention is currency in the black community, and I never heard no realer shit since. But I got that from her years back. She said attention is currency, and I said absolutely. And I would say 80% of these Colorism Inc. conversations and issues stem from the fact that attention is currency in the black community. And I believe that's because for two reasons. Black people collectively in the culture are kind of starved for mass social validation on a collective level, and then black women specifically are starved from that on a collective level and even individual level by way of black men's antisocial personalities and the way that they conduct themselves in the black community. So it's a twofold street. There's a collective aspect to black people having these self-esteem and self-image issues, but then black women have another layer to it as well, especially when it comes to like misogynoir and beauty standards and whoop-de-whoop, all the works. So it seems bleak, but it really doesn't have to be. So what she was saying is some real shit. But I feel like it's fair to call the spade a spade too. And I also want to be clear, I do think that attractive women do get hated on in the black community because, again, black people have a self-esteem issue. Shout out to Alon Jones, because she was saying in a video one time how beautiful people are often dehumanized in the black community, like kind of like looked at as like kind of like a weak link, I would say. But I think that for mixed and light skinned people, it's a different type of animosity, because there is a historical narrative and a racial narrative attached with mixed and light skinned people. So it's a little bit more complicated than just, oh, she cute, so I'm hating on her. It's a lot of layers to why people interact and view mixed and light skinned people the way that they do. And I think a lot of it is social. I don't really think it always has to really do with physical appearance. I think a lot of it has to do with the fact that we live in a hyper racial society, and then our culture as black people in the Americas has adapted these color characteristics to people that attach narratives to them, and people like kind of like assign identities to people based on that. And I think that people are kind of being judgmental based on that. And that's not to, again, validate what Tamika's saying. I'm not saying that she's not pretty. I'm just saying that I really think that that's some light skin shit, honestly. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I've been there, other light skinned women have been there, you know what I mean? Like, and there's a layer of mixedness there too, but I'm sure Glorilla knows the same thing that Tamika's talking about, and Glorilla's monoracial, you know what I mean? So yeah, like I'm saying, there's two folds to it. I think that there is a female desirability competition aspect to it, but then I also think a lot of this has to do with lightism, like I discussed as well, and people's animosity in this country towards mixed and light-skinned people. So if you're getting attention, whether it's from a man or just, maybe somebody giving you compliments or whatever like that, if you're engaging with somebody who's insecure or hasn't done the work or hasn't dealt with those feelings, they're going to project that onto you, and it's going to become a thing. So it's not fair to ask Mr. Light-skinned people to be like, oh, well, just deal with this emotional abuse and, verbal harassment online because other Black adults haven't addressed their, childhood traumas around color and, race and texturism and everything. It's like, no, that's not fair. So the fact that this woman is in her mid-50s still dealing with this says a lot. And that's why I also did want to speak on that situation, because like I said, like my first my early memories with this topic was from my grandmother taking care of me. So this is when I was like a little kid, witnessing how she was treated and the things she would deal with. So yeah, it just seems like it's just never ending, and I often feel kind of conflicted in a way, because I'm like, to an extent, like this shit be feeling so childish to me, and I often say that in my content where I'm like, this be feeling like so childish and petty, like with everything going on in the world. It's like, dang, am I like contributing to the problem by even talking about this? Like, am I wasting my own time? But at the same time, it's like, if you just don't address something and just let people talk and just say whatever about you, that's not good either. That's not gonna end well in the long run either. So I'm just kind of trying to figure out like how I want to move forward with addressing these topics. Maybe I'll keep just doing these general videos where I just like maybe address random topics y'all want me to. So let me know in the comment section, because this was like a way longer rant than I originally wanted it to be, but I had a lot to say. but yeah, I am delirious. It is literally 3:00 in the morning. Get in the comment section, let me know what you thought about these topics. And if you'd like to see more videos like this in the future, thanks for all the support. Sorry about the lack of content. I'm still adjusting to, the getting back to work schedule, coming off vacation. I had to extend my summer, child, feel me? But yeah, thanks for all the support. Bye bye, peace.